Amalfi Coast history holds the keys to understanding the intricate dance between power culture and geography that shaped the Mediterranean world. From ancient maritime republics to modern-day coastal towns, this stunning coastline has witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations. Join me on a journey through the ashes of the past, where the whispers of history still echo along the Amalfi Coast's majestic shores. In the distant recesses of the Italian peninsula, where the majestic Apennine Mountains meet the radiant Mediterranean Sea, lies the storied Amalfi Coast. This enchanting shoreline, with its picturesque towns perched precariously on cliffs and crystal-clear waters lapping against ancient stone, has been a crossroads of cultures for millennia. Our journey through the history of this captivating region begins in the misty dawn of antiquity, when the earliest whispers of human presence first echoed along these shores. The Amalfi Coast's strategic location, nestled between the bays of Naples and Salerno, made it an attractive haven for ancient mariners and traders. The indigenous peoples of the area, including the Oinotrians and the Opici, inhabited this coastline from at least the 8th century BCE. These early inhabitants left behind a legacy of settlements, such as the ancient town of Posidonia, later known as Paestum, which would eventually become a thriving Greek colony. As we delve into the annals of Amalfi Coast history, we find ourselves in the midst of a vibrant tapestry woven from the threads of various civilizations. The arrival of Greek colonizers in the 8th century BCE marked a significant turning point in the region's development. These intrepid settlers brought with them their language, customs, and architectural styles, which would forever alter the cultural landscape of the Amalfi Coast. The establishment of colonies like Posidonia and Elea, modern-day Velia, facilitated the exchange of goods, ideas, and innovations between the eastern and western Mediterranean, cementing the region's position as a crucial hub of maritime commerce. The ancient Greeks were drawn to the Amalfi Coast's natural harbors, fertile valleys, and abundant resources. They cultivated the land, harvested its riches, and constructed impressive architectural monuments that still stand today, such as the iconic temples at Paestum. As the centuries unfolded, the Amalfi Coast became a prized possession for various powers vying for control of the Mediterranean. The Romans, with their unparalleled engineering prowess and administrative acumen, eventually absorbed the region into their vast empire. Under Roman rule, the Amalfi Coast flourished, with towns like Amalfi itself emerging as major commercial centers. The construction of roads, bridges, and aqueducts facilitated the flow of goods and people, while the introduction of new crops, such as grapes and olives, transformed the local economy. The Roman era also saw the rise of Christianity along the Amalfi Coast as the new faith spread throughout the empire. The establishment of early Christian communities and the construction of churches, like the stunning Duomo in Amalfi, reflect the profound impact of this spiritual revolution on the region's cultural identity. As Christianity continued to spread throughout the Amalfi Coast, the region became an important center for the early Christian church. The town of Amalfi itself emerged as a major hub for maritime trade and commerce, with its strategic location allowing it to control the flow of goods between the Byzantine Empire and the Western Mediterranean. The Amalfitans, renowned for their seafaring skills and entrepreneurial spirit, established a powerful merchant fleet that dominated the regional trade routes. One notable example of the Amalfitans' commercial prowess is the establishment of the medieval trading colony in Constantinople. In the 10th century, Amalfitan merchants secured a prized concession from the Byzantine emperor, allowing them to establish a permanent trading post in the imperial capital. This outpost, known as the Amalfitan Quarter, became a thriving hub for the exchange of goods, including spices, textiles, and precious metals. The Amalfitans' ability to navigate the complex web of Byzantine trade regulations and forge lucrative relationships with local merchants cemented their reputation as shrewd and resourceful traders. The Amalfi Coast's unique cultural landscape was also shaped by the presence of other maritime republics, such as Pisa and Genoa. These rival city-states vied for control of the Mediterranean trade routes, often engaging in fierce competition and even outright conflict with the Amalfitans. One notable example of this rivalry is the Pisan-Amalfitan War of 1135 to 1137, which saw the two cities clash over control of the lucrative trade in Tyrian purple, a highly prized dye extracted from the secretions of the murex snail. Despite these conflicts, the Amalfi Coast continued to flourish as a center for trade and commerce. The region's stunning natural beauty, combined with its strategic location and rich cultural heritage, made it an attractive destination for merchants, travelers, and scholars alike. The town of Salerno, located on the eastern edge of the Amalfi Coast, emerged as a major center for learning and intellectual inquiry, with its renowned medical school attracting students from across the Mediterranean. The 12th century also saw the rise of the Normans in southern Italy, who would eventually play a significant role in shaping the Amalfi Coast history. In 1131, the Norman king Roger II conquered the city of Amalfi, incorporating it into his vast kingdom. The Normans brought with them their own unique cultural and administrative traditions, which would blend with the existing Byzantine and Islamic influences to create a distinctive Amalfitan identity. As the Normans consolidated their power along the Amalfi Coast, they initiated a series of ambitious architectural projects, including the construction of impressive castles, churches, and monasteries. One notable example is the stunning Cathedral of San Andrea in Amalfi, which features a unique blend of Romanesque, Byzantine, and Islamic architectural styles. The Normans also encouraged the development of local trade and commerce, establishing a network of fairs and markets that showcased the region's rich agricultural produce and artisanal goods. The Amalfi Coast's complex history during this period is reflected in the numerous charters, treaties, and diplomatic correspondence that have survived to the present day. One fascinating example is the Treaty of Amalfi, signed in 1156 between the Norman king William I and the Amalfitan commune. This document provides valuable insights into the intricate web of alliances and rivalries that characterized the region's politics during this period, as well as the sophisticated administrative systems developed by the Normans to govern their vast kingdom. As the Norman kingdom continued to shape the Amalfi Coast's history, the region became increasingly entwined with the complex web of Mediterranean politics. The 13th century saw the rise of the Angevin dynasty, which would play a significant role in shaping the coast's fate. In 1266, Charles of Anjou, brother of King Louis IX of France, conquered the Kingdom of Sicily, which included the Amalfi Coast. The Angevins brought with them their own administrative systems, which emphasized centralized power and bureaucratic efficiency. One notable example of Angevin influence on the Amalfi Coast is the establishment of the Camera della Sommaria, a central accounting office responsible for managing the kingdom's finances. This institution, headquartered in Naples, played a crucial role in overseeing the region's economic activities, including trade, taxation, and public works projects. The Camera della Sommaria also maintained detailed records of the coast's population, economy, and infrastructure, providing valuable insights into the daily lives of Amalfitans during this period. The Angevin period also saw significant cultural and artistic developments along the Amalfi Coast. The town of Amalfi itself became a major center for the production of illuminated manuscripts, with skilled artisans creating intricate and beautifully decorated texts. One notable example is the Amalfi Bible, a stunning manuscript produced in the late 13th century, which features elaborate illustrations and ornate calligraphy. The 14th century saw the rise of the Aragonese dynasty, which would further shape the Amalfi Coast's history. In 1442, King Alfonso V of Aragon conquered the Kingdom of Naples, including the Amalfi Coast. The Aragonese brought with them their own unique cultural and administrative traditions, which blended with the existing Angevin and Norman influences to create a distinctive Amalfitan identity. One notable example of Aragonese influence on the Amalfi Coast is the establishment of the Tavola di Amalfi, a maritime code that regulated navigation, trade, and shipping in the region. This code, which dates back to the 14th century, provides valuable insights into the coast's maritime activities, including shipbuilding, sailing routes, and commercial practices. The Tavola di Amalfi also highlights the importance of the sea in shaping the Amalfi Coast's economy and culture. The Aragonese period also saw significant architectural developments along the Amalfi Coast. The town of Amalfi itself features numerous examples of Aragonese-style architecture, including the stunning Cathedral of Sant'Andrea, which was renovated and expanded during this period. The cathedral's facade, with its intricate stone carvings and ornate decorations, reflects the unique blend of Gothic, Romanesque, and Islamic influences that characterize Amalfi town architecture during this period. As the 15th century progressed, the Amalfi Coast became increasingly entwined with the complex web of Mediterranean politics. The region's strategic location made it a prized possession for various European powers, including the Ottoman Empire, which began to expand its influence in the Mediterranean during this period. The Amalfitans, with their rich maritime tradition and entrepreneurial spirit, played a significant role in shaping the coast's response to these challenges, navigating the intricate web of alliances and rivalries that characterized the region's politics during this period. The school's faculty included notable scholars, such as Girolamo Fracastoro, who made significant contributions to the field of medicine and wrote extensively on topics such as epidemiology and public health. One fascinating example is the Treaty of Naples, signed in 1480 between King Ferdinand I of Naples and the Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II. This document provides valuable insights into the intricate web of alliances and rivalries that characterized the region's politics during this period, as well as the sophisticated diplomatic systems developed by the European powers to navigate these challenges. As the 15th century drew to a close, the Amalfi Coast found itself increasingly entangled in the complex web of alliances and rivalries that characterized Mediterranean politics during this period. The Ottoman Empire's expansion into the region had significant implications for the coast's maritime trade and navigation, with many Amalfitan ships and sailors becoming embroiled in the conflicts between European powers and the Ottomans. In 1495, King Charles VIII of France launched a military campaign in Italy, which had significant repercussions for the Amalfi Coast. The French army marched through the region, leaving a trail of destruction and chaos in its wake. The town of Amalfi itself was besieged by French forces, and many of its inhabitants were forced to flee or seek refuge in nearby towns and villages. The French occupation of the Amalfi Coast lasted for several years, during which time the region's economy and infrastructure suffered significantly. Despite these challenges, the Amalfi Coast continued to be an important center for maritime trade and commerce. The town of Salerno, with its renowned medical school, remained a hub of intellectual and cultural activity, attracting scholars and students from across the Mediterranean. One notable figure who studied at the medical school in Salerno during this period was the Italian physician and anatomist Andreas Vesalius, who would go on to make significant contributions to the field of anatomy and medicine. In 1503, the Spanish Empire, under the leadership of King Ferdinand II of Aragon, launched a military campaign against the French in Italy, which had significant implications for the Amalfi Coast. The Spanish army marched through the region, driving out the French and establishing Spanish control over the coast. The town of Amalfi itself was occupied by Spanish forces, and many of its inhabitants were forced to adapt to new rulers and a new system of government. The Spanish occupation of the Amalfi Coast lasted for several decades, during which time the region's economy and culture underwent significant changes. One notable example of the cultural changes that took place on the Amalfi Coast during this period is the introduction of new artistic and architectural styles. The Spanish occupation brought with it a new wave of artistic and cultural influences, including the introduction of Moorish and Gothic architectural styles. Many of the region's churches and buildings were renovated or rebuilt in these new styles, giving the Amalfi Coast its distinctive and unique cultural landscape. The town of Ravello, perched on top of a hill overlooking the coast, is a notable example of this, with its stunning villas and gardens, including the famous Villa Ruffolo, which was built during this period. As the 16th century progressed, the Amalfi Coast continued to be an important center for maritime trade and commerce. The town of Amalfi itself remained a major hub of economic activity, with many merchants and traders operating in the region. One notable figure who played a significant role in the coast's economy during this period was the Italian banker and merchant Agostino Chigi, who established a thriving banking and trading business in the region. Chigi's business empire stretched across the Mediterranean, with trade connections in cities such as Naples, Rome, and Florence. The Amalfi Coast's strategic location also made it an important center for naval power and military activity. The town of Amalfi itself was home to a significant naval fleet, which played a major role in the region's defense against pirate attacks and other maritime threats. As the 16th century progressed, the Amalfi Coast continued to play a significant role in the Mediterranean trade and naval power struggles. In 1528, the Spanish Empire, under the leadership of Charles V, established the Kingdom of Naples, which included the Amalfi Coast. This led to increased Spanish influence in the region, with many Spanish administrators and officials being appointed to key positions. One notable example of the impact of Spanish rule on the Amalfi Coast is the introduction of new administrative systems and taxation policies. The Spanish established a new system of governance, which included the creation of a provincial council and a network of local administrators. This led to increased efficiency in the administration of the region, but also resulted in higher taxes and greater bureaucratic control. In 1543, the French Navy, under the leadership of Admiral Bavon de la Garde, launched a naval attack on the Amalfi Coast, targeting the Spanish fleet and merchant vessels. The attack was repelled by the Spanish Navy, but it highlighted the ongoing struggles for control of the Mediterranean. In the late 16th century, the Amalfi Coast began to experience significant economic decline. The region's maritime trade and commerce were disrupted by the increasing power of the Ottoman Empire, which had established a strong presence in the Mediterranean. Many of the region's merchants and traders were forced to seek new markets and trading opportunities, leading to a decline in the region's economic fortunes. In 1647, the Amalfi Coast was affected by a major plague outbreak, which devastated the region's population and further exacerbated its economic decline. The plague, which had originated in Naples, spread quickly throughout the region, killing thousands of people and disrupting trade and commerce. The town of Amalfi itself was particularly hard hit, with many of its inhabitants dying or fleeing the area. In the 17th and 18th centuries, the Amalfi Coast experienced a period of relative stability, with the Spanish Empire maintaining control over the region. However, the region's economy continued to decline, and many of its towns and villages were abandoned or fell into disrepair. In 1734, the Kingdom of Naples, which included the Amalfi Coast, was annexed by the Austrian Empire, marking the beginning of a new period of foreign rule in the region. In the late 18th century, the Amalfi Coast began to experience a resurgence in economic activity, driven by the growth of tourism and the development of new industries such as textiles and ceramics. The town of Amalfi itself was restored and renovated, with many of its historic buildings and landmarks being preserved and protected. In 1861, the Kingdom of Italy was established, and the Amalfi Coast became part of the newly unified Italian state. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the Amalfi Coast experienced significant economic growth and development, driven by the expansion of tourism and the growth of new industries. The town of Amalfi itself became a popular tourist destination, with many visitors drawn to its historic landmarks, stunning scenery, and vibrant cultural scene. In 1908, the town of Amalfi was connected to the rest of Italy by a new railway line, making it easier for tourists and travelers to visit the region. In the mid-20th century, the Amalfi Coast experienced significant damage and disruption during World War II, with many of its towns and villages being occupied by German and Allied forces. The town of Amalfi itself was bombed by Allied forces in 1943, causing significant damage to its historic center. After the war, the region underwent a period of reconstruction and restoration, with many of its historic buildings and landmarks being preserved and protected. In the second half of the 20th century, the Amalfi Coast experienced significant economic growth and development, driven by the expansion of tourism and the growth of new industries such as hospitality and services. Today, the Amalfi Coast is one of Italy's most popular tourist destinations, attracting millions of visitors each year and generating significant revenue for the local economy. From its ancient roots to its modern-day allure, the Amalfi Coast has been a crossroads of cultures, a beacon of artistic expression, and a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. The ebbs and flows of empires, the whispers of forgotten lore, and the echoes of timeless beauty all converge on this captivating shoreline, reminding us that history is not just a series of events, but a rich tapestry woven from the threads of human experience. And so, as we bid farewell to this chapter in our historical narrative, we carry with us the memories of a place where the past and present converge, where the sea meets the sky, and where the eternal essence of humanity is forever etched. Thank you for joining me throughout this historical journey. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, remember that, to understand the present, we must first understand the past.